Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. Is Mike's Talks and Thoughts here, back again with another video today. And today we are going to be doing a Stranger Things Season 4 Volume 2 Death Predictions here. With Stranger Things Volume 2 right around the corner here, I thought with 1 week left here before the volume is released, give my thoughts and death predictions. I've been seeing this all over on TikTok, Instagram, pretty much anywhere on social media. I have been seeing this just all over the place. And I kind of want to give my thoughts and opinions, as well as, you know, going through each of the groups and what I think is going to happen, kind of giving a little bit of an explanation on, you know, why I think this character is going to survive or why I think they could die. You know, these of course are all predictions. Things could change as the volume is coming out here. But as of right now, from what I've seen and what I can kind of grasp seeing the trailers here, this is going to be my predictions here for who lives, who dies, and the likelihood of it. It's going to be on a scale here of 1 to 10, you know, 1 being I don't think they're going to die at all, with 10 being that they're pretty much on death row. So, yeah, but before we get full on into the list here for the characters' death predictions, for anyone who is new here, my name is Mike, and we are doing a 1,000 subscriber giveaway here. We are around 100 subscribers away from reaching that milestone, so each and every one of you counts here. If you really want to show support on the channel, definitely hit the subscribe button down below. It's free, doesn't cost you anything. It really helps on the channel here, and you will be entered into the giveaway here for a chance at a really nice prize. We're pushing for this here in the summer here, so if you really enjoy what I do here and really want to see more and be entered into that giveaway, please consider hitting the subscribe button down below. But without further ado, let's get started here. So first here, we're going to be going over the Hawkins Crew. So I split up the characters into the respective groups that they have been a part of all season so far. And Hawkins here, I think, is the best group of characters this season here. You know, the setting can't go wrong where it originally started, and the characters here are amazing. So let's go over each and every one of them and the likelihood I think that they have a chance of dying in season or in Volume 2. So first here we have Dustin Henderson here, and for me, I have Dustin at a 3 out of 10 possibility of dying here. I think that Dustin is just really integral to the story, such a fan favorite character. I don't really see too much of a scenario of Dustin dying here, you know, especially when we see in the trailers, Dustin's usually shouting out for other people, whether that's Eddie or Steve or Nancy. It seems like he's a lot more concerned with other people dying, but, you know, they could throw us a curveball, but I feel pretty confident in saying that Dustin here is going to make it out here through Season 4 and into Season 5. Next here, let's talk about Lucas here, another one of the main kids here. I have Lucas at a 6 out of 10 here, so a little bit more than average for dying this season. Wow, I think Lucas is also a really big wild card here, because Lucas, you know, he's trying to protect Max here. Now he's getting involved with Jason, as you've seen in the trailers here. Jason and Lucas, you know, get into this big fight we see, and I think Lucas could have a lot of trauma with, you know, what's going on with Max, and also the trauma that he, you know, left his friends to join the basketball team and left the Hellfire Club behind. That could be the trauma that Vecna uses against Lucas here. You know, maybe sacrifices himself for Max or anyone else in the group. I think that Lucas definitely has a possibility of dying here in this season. Next here, another one of the kids, we have Max Mayfield, and I'm going to give Max's death prediction a 5 out of 10. I know that might be a little bit shocking here, considering all that Max has gone through in the season, you know, with, you know, her escaping once from Vecna already and still being a target, as to why she's still playing Running Up That Hill by Kate Bush. You know, that song completely blew up because of Max here. But I just believe that the reason that Max is not going to die is they've teased it so much already in the show and in trailers that Max is going to die. It would just be a little bit too obvious at this point that Max is the one to be killed. You know, they're really pushing for it in the trailers that they're showing, and in the show, they're like, Max is the #1 person to die. And I think if they were going to do that, they would have already done it by now. That would have been a huge way to end Volume 1. It would have got a lot of people talking. I just think that Max is going to be safe here. But I do have her at a 5 because I could still see it happening. It's like a 50-50, but I'm kind of leaning a little bit more towards she's not going to die this season here, and we'll make it out into Season 5 here. Next here, let's talk about everyone's big fan favorite here in Steve Harrington. I have Steve at a 7 out of 10 for his death prediction, chances of dying in Volume 2. You know, Steve here, such a fan favorite character. He was the one who was predicted a lot, and I mean a lot, before the volume was released that Steve was going to die this season. I never personally saw myself seeing Steve die this season because Steve is just such a likable character. You know, why would you kill off, like, probably the fan base's #1 character? You know, I know they want to have impactful deaths, but that would just be a little bit too much. I know people that would just freak out over that. But I do have Steve at a 7 out of 10 because of all the situation that he's been in. You know, will he be infected with the demo bats? You know, we already saw the demo bats, you know, pretty much kind of infected Steve a little bit here. You know, with biting him and scratching him and everything else when he got pulled into the Upside Down. You know, he could sacrifice himself for Nancy or Robin, 2 of his closest friends or possibly girlfriend for this season here. But Steve, man, I just think that he's a little bit too much of a fan favorite to kill off, but I still think it's highly possible. Next up here, we have Robin, and I have Robin at an 8 out of 10 here. A little bit of a curveball for my death predictions here. I definitely feel like the Duffer Bros are going to hit us with something out of nowhere here and a shocking death. And for me, Robin is like my biggest prediction, I would say. Not in the fact that I feel the most confident, but the most wild prediction, I would say, is that Robin's an 8 out of 10 here for dying this season. You know, she mentions in the trailer how she thinks that things are not going to work out for them this time. Could that be foreshadowing her? You know, I could see someone like Steve or an Eddie sacrificing themselves for Robin here, but for some reason I just got a weird feeling that Robin is going to be in a lot of danger this season. That's why I have her so high up at an 8 out of 10 here, but she could definitely make it out here of this season. Next up here, we have Nancy here, and I have her death prediction at a 7 out of 10 here. I think that Nancy here, you know, she's put in Vecna's trance at the end of Volume 1 here, but we know that Nancy ends up surviving out of the trance here because of the shots we see in the trailer, that, you know, Nancy's holding a shotgun and she's with the group planning. So we know that Nancy eventually gets out of it, but, you know, I think that they could still have her be in the trance again. You know, Vecna is always looking to strike here, and for that reason I still think Nancy has a high probability here, but not as high as I've been seeing some people put. I would give her like a 7 out of 10. I think it's likely, but not up at like that top tier level. Next here, let's talk about one of the fan favorites from this season in Eddie Munson, the leader of the Hellfire Club. And for me, I have Eddie actually at a 7 out of 10. Before, I had Eddie a lot higher after I finished Volume 1. But as I've been kind of rethinking it and seeing stuff about it, you know, just all the people talking about it, I have Eddie actually at a 7 out of 10. You know, there was an interview that came out with Joseph Quinn, how he talked about having more scenes with Charlie Heaton in Season 5, so they thought that, you know, Eddie is safe this season. But I think even with him mentioning that, you know, I still don't think he's 100% safe. You know, he could have said anything. I still think Eddie has a high possibility of dying here. Like I said, 7 out of 10, but not as high as I was originally thinking. I was having Eddie before like a 9 or a 10 out of 10 because of the trend, how the Duffer Bros love introducing new characters to us who get killed off at the end of the season. For example, Bob and Alexi here from Seasons 2 and 3. So Eddie still I think has a possibility. I could see himself sacrificing himself for Dustin or one of the women, Nancy or Robin here. Definitely could see that happening, but for me, Eddie going to be a 7 out of 10 here. But next here, let's get into our first huge prediction here. 10 out of 10 for Jason here. I think that Jason is a 10 out of 10 for dying here. I don't see him making it out of the season. You know, with the trauma that he has with Chrissy's death here, I think that's what's going to allow Vecna to access him and ultimately kill him. You know, I don't see himself redeeming to the rest of the group here. You know, we see in the trailers that him and Lucas are fighting, so I definitely feel like that Jason here is going to be on the chopping block this season. Maybe he does something that redeems himself and then that death becomes even more impactful, but just for me, I think that Jason is just, the way they're setting his character up, he is going to be one of the victims of Vecna here and taken by Volume 2 here. Next here, let's talk about Erika. So Erika, Lucas's younger sister here, and I have her death prediction at the lowest so far at a 2 out of 10 here. You know, I don't really see too much of a reason to kill off Erika. You know, I know she is meaningful to Lucas, but to me, I think that there's a lot more people and a lot more better options to pick for being a victim of Vecna here. And I just don't think that they're going to kill her as she's so young. You know, I know they did that with the massacre. They did a lot of young deaths, but I think that Erika will definitely survive out of Volume 2 here into Season 5. And last here for the Hawkins group, I have Karen Wheeler here at a 5 out of 10. You're wondering probably, why am I talking about Karen here? And of course, she has a main character poster this season, so she is definitely going to be involved some way or somehow. You know, there's a lot of theories out there about Karen. I ultimately think that she's going to just find out about everything this season. She's going to find out about the Upside Down and all the villains and everything that's been going on in the last few years in Hawkins here. I think she's going to find out the truth about everything. And basically, I think that's the way that she's going to be connected to the story. There's a lot of theories, like I mentioned previously, how a lot of people have been talking online. And one of the biggest theories that people have been saying is that Karen is Alice Creel, Henry's sister. I don't think that theory is going to hold true. Like I said, I think that Karen's going to be incorporated into the show because she's going to find out everything and she's finally going to learn the truth of everything that's been going on in Hawkins. So for me, I think it's a 5 out of 10. I think it's a 50-50, but I think it would be one of the biggest OMG moments here, killing off Karen, you know, Nancy and Mike's mom here. I think that would be really crazy, and we definitely get a lot of people talking here. Next here, let's move into the Cali crew. So we've already done all of the people for Hawkins, and now let's move into the Cali crew here. First up here, we have a Mike, and I have Mike at a 7 out of 10 here. I think that Mike, you know, is so integral to this entire show. He probably has the most connections with all of the other characters in the show. You know, every character in the show is in some way connected to Mike, whether it's his friend, girlfriend, sibling, parent. Everyone is connected to Mike in some way, and I think his death would be so impactful if it happened, you know, especially for Will and for Elle here. It would be crazy. I know a lot of people have not been a fan of Mike this season just because, you know, he's been sidelined, he's been a jerk all season, but I definitely feel like, you know, Mike could do something redeeming here, and like I said, that would be a really, really crazy moment, killing off, you know, the character who pretty much started this entire thing. You know, let's actually go to that character in Will. So I talked about Mike, how he kind of has the most connections with everyone. Will here, I'm going to give Will a 1 out of 10, the lowest on this list. I just don't see a way that Will is going to die. You know, Will is the one who starts off this entire thing, you know, the search for Will. He is so integral to the start of the show that I think he's got to be there at the end of the show. So Will here, I think it's a 1 out of 10. You know, even with interviews with Noah Schnapp, he's kind of already alluded that he's going to be in Season 5 here. But even with that, I still think that there was always a low possibility of Will, you know, dying this season. There has been a lot of theories that Will could turn evil and, you know, be possessed by Vecna or the Mind Flayer again and be a traitor to his friends. I could definitely see that happening. Interesting theory out there. But as to being killed by Vecna or killed by the Mind Flayer if it comes out in Volume 2, I do not see it happening here. just a really low chance for Will here. But now let's move into Will's older brother in Jonathan here. Jonathan has been sidelined again all season and not been too integral to this story here. I have his death prediction at a 4 out of 10 here. I think it could happen, but I feel like there's more impactful characters that they could kill off for this season here, for this volume, and I just really can't see a scenario where Jonathan could, but maybe there's something that happens down the line. That's why I'm not giving it too low of a chance. I have it at a 4 out of 10. But moving in here to his friend Argyle here, I have Argyle at a 3 out of 10. I think Argyle is mainly in the show for a lot of comedic relief and the stoner humor and kind of giving Jonathan someone to interact with. Argyle, I don't think, is going to be playing a huge part in the story at Hawkins, if he even gets to Hawkins. But yeah, I just don't see Argyle, like I said, playing a main focus in the Upside Down story. But, whoever knows, Argyle could come out of nowhere, but that's why I have his death prediction at a 3 out of 10. Next here, let's move into the Nina Project. This is the facility that, Elle has been at for the majority of this season here. And let's start off with Elle herself. 11, I think that she has the lowest odds of anyone of dying this season. I have her at a 1 out of 10 here, just like Will. I think that you can't not have 11. She is the most important character in the show here in defeating the Upside Down. You have to have her for season 5 here. I just don't think it would ever make sense to not have her and have her get killed this season. She's going to be the one that's going to have to defeat Vecna and the Mind Flayer and close all of the gates from the Upside Down to our world. So I think that she's going to play the biggest part. Like I said, most impactful to the main plot here. And I just don't see any scenario where they would kill her off. I would be immensely shocked if it happened. I would put it at almost a 0% chance that she dies this season. But next year, moving into the opposite of that, I have Dr. Martin Brenner here, and I have his death prediction at a 10 out of 10. I do think that Brenner is going to die this season. I think it could go one of two ways. I think it could be a redemption arc where he ends up saving Elle and sacrificing himself for Elle, or possibly Vecna getting his revenge on Brenner here. I think that those are like the two biggest scenarios that I could see Brenner going out. I definitely feel like it's just inevitable to happen here. And like I mentioned earlier with theories and predictions, the Duffer Bros also, how they like killing off characters that are likable before their end of their season. They also have a trend of killing off characters that start with the letter B. You have Barb from season 1, Bob from season 2, Billy from season 3, and now Brenner for season 4. I don't know if this is intentional by them, if it's just a coincidence, but I could still see it happening this season. Brenner fits the mold in that trend, and just makes sense that he could die this season. Next here, let's go and go with Dr. Owens here. Dr. Owens, the person who brought Elle to the Nina Project and has been working with Brenner. I have his death prediction at an 8 out of 10. I think that the way that he would go out, of course, would be through sacrificing himself for Elle. I think that they would give that arc to Brenner, though, as Brenner just has a lot more to earn from that than Owens does. But Owens, a likable character. I think his prediction, his death prediction, is high for me. I could see it happening. The government's been going after him for a while now. He's not safe. So yeah, definitely a high possibility for this season here. Next here, we're going to be moving into the Russian group here. The second to last group here for the story here. First, we're going to start off with Jim Hopper here. Another one like Elle and Will. I have Hopper at a 1 out of 10 for dying this season. I just feel like they built his redemption of not dying in season 3 up so much this season that it would just make no sense to kill him off. Would just really be heartbreaking to do that after bringing him back, and then it would kind of feel out worthless that they even rescued him to begin with if he's just gonna die in the Russian prison. So I think Hopper's safe. Maybe he comes back to Hawkins and sacrifices himself For the others, maybe they do that, but like I said, I think they put too much time and investment into keeping Hopper alive that it would just make no sense to kill him off the following season. Next year, I have Joyce here. I have her death prediction at a 5 out of 10. Kind of in the similar situation to Karen here, where, you know, I think she will be integral to it, but I think there's definitely better options here. I think, again, it's a 50-50 chance. You know, we see the scene with Jonathan and Will hugging, but I ultimately think that is going to be Will's coming out scene here. But, you know, a lot of people theorize that Joyce could have been killed, and that's why they're embracing each other like that. But I personally just don't see her dying. Again, someone who, you know, has a lot of memorable moments in the show, someone who's very important to Hopper. Again, kind of in that 50-50 range of yes and no. Next here, let's go with Murray here, the bald eagle, Bauman here. I'm giving his death prediction an 8 out of 10 here. For me, Murray, I've been saying all season that I could definitely see Murray dying, and for one reason or another. My thing is with the Russians. If they're going to keep the Russians moving forward here into season 5, then I don't see Murray dying. They need Murray as the translator. You know, that's what his purpose is. That's like the best thing that he does, you know, is that he's able to work with Joyce and Hopper against the Russians because of his ability to be bilingual. But here, if the Russians are not going to be moving forward, I don't really see what else they could do with Murray's character to keep him around if the Russians aren't involved. So that could be the reason that I could see him dying. You know, a lot of people think that he could die at the hands of the Demogorgon. Maybe, you know, the Russian group makes it back to Hawkins, and then that's where he meets his demise here. But I have his death at 8 out of 10 because I could definitely see them moving away from the Russians and moving slowly into what's going on in Hawkins for the rest of the season and for season 5. So in that case, I think that Murray has a high probability of dying here. And finally, for the Russian crew, we have Dmitri or Enzo, you know, someone who was introduced this season, and I think he's going to be the one that's going to fit the trend of likable characters that's going to die. I have his death prediction at a 10 out of 10 here. I definitely feel like he is going to die in the Russian prison, trying to escape either by the Demogorgon or one of the guards there. I just feel like, again, he is, you know, he's important to the Russian story. You know, he's been building this bond with Hopper, but I think they got to have one of the people from that group die, and he would be the one for me. Don't really see them bringing him into season 5. I think a lot of people would prefer Murray over Dmitri here moving into season 5. So I have his death prediction at 10 out of 10. I really think it's going to happen. So yeah. And the last group here that I want to talk about is the wildcard group, and that's going to be Vecna here. I know I've seen all of these death predictions all over online, but the one person that they haven't been talking about really is Vecna. You know, they're talking about everyone else but Vecna here. I think Vecna's death prediction here is at a 5 out of 10. Reason being, you know, Stranger Things is always known for having that satisfying, concluding ending. I could see it happening. You know, they could go that way. But personally, I think that Vecna is going to win this season in the fact that he's going to, I don't think he's going to take out everyone, but he's going to take out a lot of people with him, and they're going to be set back. And that's what's going to be the start of season 5. They're going to have to regroup and then come back and face Vecna and the Mind Flayer and the Upside Down. And it's going to be similar to Infinity War-esque, where the villain ends up winning in the end. I don't think that, you know, ultimately it's going to be sort of like an Infinity War Endgame where the villain ends up winning in the predecessor movie, but then the heroes will take over and win it all in season 5 here, which I think will happen here in the Stranger Things story. So yeah, that's going to be it for the death predictions here. For any character that I didn't mention, either they were just not important enough to the story, or I think that they are like a 1 out of 10 chance and are going to live. So if you're wondering like about any other really small characters that I didn't mention, whether some of the other parents or, you know, anyone else you were kind of wondering about, that is why they were not mentioned here. But yeah, that's going to do it here for the death predictions. I want to know what you guys think in the comment section below. Again, definitely hit that subscribe button here as we reach the road to 1,000 subscribers here. All of your support is greatly appreciated here on the channel. Everybody take care and peace out.